You're listening to PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment.
And I do realize that Rick was a converted defensive lineman to offensive lineman in school, but at least he played offensive lineman and was damn good at it at Florida State, good enough to get drafted to become a 4th-round pick. They see something in Nate Wozniak. He's almost a 7-foot offensive lineman, man, but he's super raw. But anyway, Boston Scott, a guy would love to see eventually. Make his debut with the Saints, perhaps made later on, perhaps not if the Saints back stay healthy enough, but Boston Scott's an intriguing guy. Garrett Griffin, who's one of the Sports Coma's favorites, listen to the show. Wide receiver Keith Kirkwood, who I picked to make the team. That was a good choice to keep him. And of course, the team did add wide receiver Shane Wynn to the practice squad. So the Saints continue to move around and make moves there to make sure they keep sufficient amount of depth there. Remember when they had originally the practice squad, they had no defensive backs. They've since added at least one defensive back, which is Chris Campbell, to the practice squad. Now, usually customarily, I would say probably sometimes you would pick from your practice squad like if you have, it's a reserve set of people. And, if some guy gets hurt, you yank a guy from the practice squad and you activate him, you bring him on in. Usually that's how it's supposed to go, but sometimes they don't do that. Move on to the next topic and talk about the Saints injury report. Of course, the Saints injury report looks like this. Taylor Stalwart, of course, he's not going to play with the ankle. They did bring back Jay Bromley to the team to play. His status for this game is out. He's out. Andrews Pete is also out. He didn't play for the last practice for the last 2 games, which was Thursday and Friday. He didn't play. He is considered out for this game. Teron Armstrong did play. He's listed on the injury knee with that knee issue, but he's good to go. Cameron Meredith still suffering with that little knee situation, but he fully practiced the Thursday and Friday. Marshawn Lattimore had the concussion stuff, but like we said the previous show, that it happened, for the Saints right at the bye week, but he had plenty enough time to kind of recoup from, and he had full practice all the way through, so he's good to go. Larry Warford, this was one that popped up. He had a back situation, didn't practice on Thursday. He was limited on Friday, and he's questionable for game status. So I don't know what that usually means. Old school questionable mean you wasn't going to play. Probable mean that you were, but questionable, you weren't going to play. It done changed since then. And a questionable is a probable nowadays. So I anticipate Larry Warford probably will start this game. I don't see the Saints going into a matchup against the Baltimore Ravens without 2 of their starters. Andrews Pete's all the way out. Larry Warford is definitely going to play, and they'll probably substitute either Josh Terrible Lorebius on the other spot, or possibly give Cameron Tom an opportunity. We got the most Camerons in the league, but hopefully they can give Cameron Tom an opportunity to play and see what he's got at the guard position. We'll love to see that. And of course, we know about Bushrod. Now, looking at the Baltimore Ravens, John Brown is going to play for the team. He's suffering an NIR, or whatever that means. Brandon Carr had a knee issue. He'll play the cornerback. Alex Lewis, the guard, had a neck situation. He's out. Safety Eric Weddle will play. Cornerback Anthony Everett had a hamstring issue. He's listed as questionable. Anthony Levine Sr. had a hamstring. He's questionable, although he fully practiced last Friday. And of course, Marlon Humphrey, the very good cornerback, has a thigh issue. He did not practice Friday and is listed as questionable for the matchup today. So it's going to be interesting to see these good matchups between these two. But none of the key members, of course, we know John Brown's the speedster. We'll probably end up putting Lattimore on that guy to kind of neutralize him. And Hope Crawley, PJ Williams, those guys can stand up to the rest of that. Okay, let's go into the next story here. We're going to talk about a tragic story about Jermaine Bushrod, man. And I mean, this is truly tragic. Of course, we know that Bushrod's family right now, he's not going to play. And he's been out for a handful of days now, mourning the death of his newborn child. And this is a sad story. And he's listed as saying, "My heart is broken." I can't even imagine the type of things that he's going through. But he did tweet a very, very sad thing out. He said, "My heart," and this is from Jermaine Bushrod. He said, quote, "My heart has been broken. My baby girl, Jordan Lynn Bushrod, passed away Thursday, October the 18th. She was only there for a week, but we were ready to love her unconditionally. We will get through this with faith, family, and friends. Thanks for your prayers and support, end quote. And there's pictures of little Jordan Lynn Bush right there. And it's just very sad. But our prayers, man, from the Sports Coma and the Who Dat Nation goes out to Jordan, to Jermon Bushride and his family. Because, you know, obviously it's a difficult thing to have something like that to occur to your family. And Jermon, all of us, our support, prayers, everything go to you and your family through this difficult time. So, you know, just stay strong, man. And, you know, we're going to make it through this thing, huh? But it's very difficult. So tonight, you guys, when y'all say y'all prayers, today when y'all say your prayers and y'all moving about, say one for Jermon Bushride and his family. Okay, let's move on from that story to the next one. And we're going to talk about the history between the Saints and the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, the last time the Baltimore Ravens played the Saints were back in November the 24th, 2014 is the last time this team played. Now, of course, the Saints have never beaten the Baltimore Ravens under the Sean Payton era. I think they're 0-3. I think 0-3. Y'all correct me on that. It might be 0-4. I'm thinking it's 0-3. I'm saying it's 0-3. But if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comment section. Let me know. But the last time they played this team, November the 24th, 2014, the Ravens were able to beat the Saints 34-24. The Saints were 4-7 at the time. Ravens were 7-4 at the time. So many years ago, you know, it was a very interesting game, a really lively game. Ultimately, the Saints lost by a touchdown. This is how it went. Drew Brees finished the game. He was 35 of 45. He had 3 touchdowns and an interception. Drew did everything he could do to win the game. 420 yards throwing for Drew Brees on the day. The top rushing guy was Joe Morgan. Remember that guy? Super speed, just wasn't too smart and bright. 1 carry for 67 yards. That was his best scamper. Then Kenny Stills was the top threat. 8 catches for 98 yards in there for them. And of course, for the Baltimore Ravens, Joe Flacco was 18 of 24, 243, 1 score. Justin Forsett, 22 carries, 182 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. And then Torrey Smith had 5 catches for 98 yards in this matchup. Total yards, the Saints had 525 versus Baltimore's 449. Both of them had a turnover apiece in the game. Of course, the New Orleans time possession was 29-45 versus the Ravens 30-15. Time of possession. And of course, the Saints wanted their first down battle, 26 first downs to 23 in that upper 34-24. Last time they played back in 2014. And like we said, we got some history with this team. And looking at what they are today. Now, of course, the Baltimore Ravens and the New Orleans Saints, if you look at them, Saints on the roll here. The Saints are on the roll since their first loss to Tampa Bay, who since then have fallen through the floor. The Saints have been a strong contender. They've won 4 games against the Browns, Falcons, Giants, and Skins. They had that bye week. They come back healthy. They have a very difficult matchup against the Baltimore Ravens, who will get you ready for a primetime game with the Vikings, at the Vikings. So with that being said, you take a look at what the Saints here, what they're willing to do. And I would say, in my mind, this matchup, Baltimore, I have to go in favor of the Saints in this one, of course. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a member of the Who Dat Nation, you know, but I tell you where my heart lies. And sometimes my heart might pick against the Saints because I know the limitations of my team. Sometimes they'll step it up and move past some of these things, but some of these things they won't. Some of this stuff is very difficult, man, you know, to pick to be able to call out some of these games because, you know, you never know who's going to bring it, so to speak. So, of course, the Saints coming in the game 4-1 versus Baltimore is 4-2, and the team is a tough 2-0 at home. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Saints go in there and take it. Of course, a lot of people have Baltimore listed as the team that's going to win this game. A lot of people pick Baltimore over New Orleans because they're in Baltimore, and they don't think the Saints will get it done. But listen, let me tell you something. The Saints offense travels, and they travel very well. The issue with the Saints is can the defense provide a few stops? Can we get a few turnovers against Baltimore to lessen that pressure playing up there in M&T Bank Stadium? Because there's going to be ruckus. It's going to be tough. Of course, Baltimore, we're not looking at the same Baltimore defense that they had 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, that dominant Baltimore defense that everybody was scared of. Terrell Suggs is long in the tooth. He's still effective, but he's long in the tooth. They have some good pieces, don't get me wrong, and it's still a good defense. They're nowhere near what they used to be, but they have some very good pieces on their defense. Still missing a few pieces here or there, but this is a good Baltimore team. This is a good test for the Saints toughness. Can they neutralize the Saints passing attack? I don't think any team in the NFL can neutralize what the Saints bring because the Saints have so many weapons that they can go to. They throw to tight ends, wide receivers. It don't matter. Cameron Meredith might have his day. Traquan Smith had his day last week. Week before that. So, and then Mike Thomas is ever present. You got Elvin Kamara rolling around. You got Mark Ingram, who's hungry, who just had his first game a couple of weeks ago against the Redskins, and he had a coming out party. He's hungry to go against this team. So, and then, like I said, the Saints have a bevy of weapons, and it's hard for any team to neutralize it. If you take one away, he's just going to go to his second, third, fourth, fifth option. So I don't see Baltimore doing that. Could they get pressure on Drew Brees? Yes, they could get pressure on Drew Brees. They're a 3-4 team. They're very fast, and the Saints know how to attack a team like this. They got the weapons too. So it's going to be very interesting to see just how the Saints do it. But I'm looking at it, and I said this is going to be a close game. It's going to be a very close game. Now, let me give you a few statistics. Looking at a couple of in this game is the fact that the Baltimore Ravens coming into this averaging 25.5 a game while holding teams to 13 points a game. So the defense is good. Not great like they were, but very good. Saints averaging 36 points a game while giving up 28 points a game. Now, of course, that's going to drop because you can see the improvement in the secondary. They're improving. Now, total yards, the Saints averaging 437 yards a game throwing. That's both passing and rushing. 333.6 throwing, 103 on the ground rushing. They allow you to throw for 385 yards a game, 313 through the air, and they are literally stopping you less than 72 yards on the ground. So the Saints defense, man, even though people looking at the statistics, these novice broadcasters and supposed to be experts on these networks telling you that we're gonna pick these Saints, we're gonna pick Baltimore against that 27th or 28th ranked or 29th ranked defense. They sitting up here looking at statistics. They don't watch the games like we watch them. They don't follow the Saints. You think all these commentators, national commentators, they be faking it, man. They're not watching these games. They're not watching all these games. I stay knocking off Stephen A. Smith when he talk about the Pelicans or when he tries to talk about other topics. I stay knocking those guys off because I know you're not watching these full games. I know you're not. If you're a national guy, you're trying to cover all of them, you are not watching every last one of these games. And I know you aren't. And all you're doing is looking at the stat lines and statistics, and you're forming opinions based on that, which is a half-ass analysis. When we watch the game, we follow the Saints. I know what time it is. I know that the defense is ranked poorly because of the secondary. You look at the front seven; those guys are balling. Now you look at what the Ravens are doing. Like I told you the statistics on points and points allowed per game. They average 400 yards throwing it. Total 401.2, passing 302 yards a game, and they rush about 99 yards a game. Now they allow on a defense in less than 300 yards a game. Total. They allow you to shoot for 214, might as well say 215 through the air, and they stop you at 83 yards a game. So the defense for Baltimore is a very difficult defense. They're very strong, very competent, and we'll see just how well the Saints match up offense versus defense, man. That's just how it's going to go. But I'm telling you up top, they don't have enough weapons to stop the Saints' weapons. I'm going to just be honest with you, especially if Marlon Humphreys can't go. They're going to need him. The Saints have 4 or 5 options at any given time they can go to. I'm just telling you, there is very few defenses, and Baltimore is one of them that can stop every option. You would have to get to Drew Brees and knock him down consistently, and I think the Saints will do a good job of protecting him because they got to. Now, looking at some of the stuff, of course, Drew Brees coming into this matchup, 58 on the season, total yards, 11 touchdowns for 148 of 190. With Drew Brees, Joe Flacco, 164 of 264, 1788 with 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Elvin Kamara is the top team rusher, 62 carries, 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. Alex Collins, 76 carries for 271 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. Very good running back. Watch out for that guy. And then Mike Thomas, 46 catches, 519 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then that top target is speedster John Brown, 21 receptions, 424 yards with 3 touchdowns. So as it stands coming into this, it's going to be an interesting matchup. But a lot of people say we like Baltimore at home. I got to give it to you. Last 5, Baltimore coming off a win 21-0 over the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. And I will have to say this is the first time in 3 games that they had a 3-game away trip that they went 2-1 on. The Ravens are back home for the first time in 3 games, and they're going to be looking to play well. 2-0 at home. The Saints coming off on full game winning streak. Last win 43-19 over the Washington Redskins. Who is your call, Q? I'm picking the Who Dats. that Saints or Saints Nation to come up with this. The black and go all the way in this one. Won't be a blowout. I'd be surprised if it's a blowout like the Washington game. I thought it would be a little bit more closer, but the emotional edge that the team had riding into it, can they still salvage a little bit of that going into Baltimore? They're riding on a high. They're playing a different level. The defense is coming alive. The front seven are really starting to empower. Davenport is waking up. They are really doing a splendid job. It's just kind of back in secondary hold up against with Joe Flacco. We got to get to Flacco and knock him down, rattle him. Once you do that, he's not a very good quarterback. I know the Saints going to neutralize the running game, which puts the pressure on Flacco. What's the call, Q? I'm calling, and I'm saying the Saints going to win this one close. Okay, 28-24 Saints on a roll against the Baltimore Ravens. Saints go 5-1, stopping the Ravens and ending their undefeated homestand. They're 2-0 on the season, by the way. So that's my call on the game. We're going to go to break. When we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to go and cover the rest of our topics. We're going to have the Sports Coma question of the day, and we're going to read replies and all on the other side of the break. Stay with us. You listen to Sports Coma, Big Q and the Guy.
I'm a Saints and Pelicans fan, so the only podcast I can get my fix is the Sports Coma with Big Q. The guy's intense, funny, and they always keep it real.
Check out the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
What's up, sports world? It's Big Q talking at you from the PRO Media Network, letting you know that we're attempting to make things a lot simpler on our listeners and viewers of our mini podcast. So as a result, we're leasing down a lot of our shows to have their own channels for your convenience. Starting soon, shows like Ring King Boxing, LSU's Tough Tiger Talk, the Pelican Postgame Report will all have their own individual YouTube channels. So thank you for working with us during this process. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your donations and support for our platform as we continue to improve moving forward. Peace.
Sports fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear. From all the leagues, teams, and players you love, unique one-of-a-kind designs exclusively by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars shipped directly to your home. Join Fanatics Rewards for free to earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and for a limited time, get 20% off all orders. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Hit the link below and rep the black and gold today. Who that?
Do you need a domain name? How about a host for your website that can work with WordPress? Try Namecheap.com. They make registering, hosting, and managing domain names for yourself or others easy and affordable because the internet needs people. Namecheap is an ICANN accredited domain register and technology company founded in 2000. It's one of the fastest growing American companies according to the 2018 Inc. 5000, celebrating nearly 2 decades of providing unparalleled levels of service, security, and support. Namecheap has been steadfast in customer satisfaction with over 10 million domains under management. Namecheap is among the top domain registers and web providers in the world. They offer a full selection of popular and unique domains along with fully featured hosting packages, SSL security certificates, WhoisGuard privacy protections, and more, all at the lowest prices in the industry. So if you need a domain name or hosting or anything else, think Namecheap.com. That's right, Namecheap.com. Check the description section below for link.
Follow the Sports Coma on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys coming off break. First segment, we broke down all the L's to deal with the Baltimore Ravens and Saints matchup, my prediction, analysis, all that kind of gravy stuff. And coming to the second segment, we're going to come out and we're going to talk about the question of the day. We're going to read some replies from the previous question of the day, and that'll be what we'll do on this side of the segment. But before we get into that, let me hit you with a little also injury news on Ted Ginn Jr. I don't know how this one slipped through the cracks, but of course we know Ted Ginn Jr. is put on the injury list. And of course, Sean Payton came out and said that he anticipates that by week 8, that they're hoping to have Ted Ginn back for the playoff run, which would be a great addition. His speed is very difficult to replace what he brings. He's the fastest man on the team. You could put him and Alvin Kamara in a foot race, but even at his age, and he's 35, I think 36 years old, he's still a burner. The guy is still fast. He's not as fast as what he was originally. He had world-class track speed, but he's still probably your fastest player on the team. But he has a knee issue that he just couldn't get over. So the Saints are going to shelve him and put him on the injury list. And Sean Payton said that perhaps he can bring him back later on. So this kind of segues into the previous question that we had, not the last question, but of course about the Tre'Quan Smith question. You guys remember that. But as always, now it seems the answer. Tre'Quan Smith had his coming out party against the Washington Redskins. He'll get an opportunity. Now, this is what the Saints' future wide receiver core will look like, guys. You have Michael Thomas, who's going to be here. The Saints going to break the bank for this guy. Tre'Quan Smith, who just got drafted. He has great size, not a little guy, 6'2", has good speed as well, could run good routes, could catch as well. This is the Saints' future. Of course, Drew Brees can say, even if I won a Super Bowl this year, I'm not going to retire. I'm still going to play. Why else would he say that? Who in their right mind would leave these type of weapons? You got Mike Thomas, Tre'Quan Smith on one side, then you have Alvin Kamara behind you. Why wouldn't the hell would you want to leave that? I would say I want to play to my mid-40s too if I was Drew Brees. I would not leave that. If you can keep me upright, protect me on the offensive line, hell, for the next 3 or 4 years, we can win at least a couple of Super Bowls before I say, you know what, that's enough. I'm going to leave on a high note. So with that being said, let's go ahead on and just move right into the next topic, which is the question of the day. Now, this is the Sports Coma question of the day. Of course, you guys can feel free to answer it. Is the Saints finally going to get a win against the Ravens? The only team Sean Payton and Drew Brees have not beaten are the Baltimore Ravens in the Sean Payton, Drew Brees era. Does that change today? I say yes, it does, because it is on Sean Payton's mind and on Brees' mind, as this is the time of accomplishments, being that he captured the all-time passer rate. And this guy's a living legend playing it. Don't even mistake this for a second. Drew Brees is in the Hall of Fame. Sean Payton's going to be there too as a coach eventually. Get it right. A lot of people talk about Drew. That's a deal, but that's another narrative. Sean Payton gets there too. Drew Brees is definitely in there. Now, outside of that, I say yes. It'll be another notch on the belt of Drew Brees and Sean Payton. Another accomplishment. And don't think for a second that they're not saying that in the facilities, sitting around saying, well, it's the only team. They know like we know. They might say, well, that's not important. That's bull, man. I'm telling you. They tell the media that and tell you that, but secretly they use that as motivation to beat the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to get this win against the Ravens. I say 28-24. We'll see. Another thing I want to talk about that was brought to my attention by a good friend, Black Suede, who's also one of the guys. He's been away. You'll be hearing him come back real soon on the show, is that he brought something to my attention that slipped by me. I didn't even realize it. But he was sent me a clip from the show with Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman. Forget what it's called. First Take is the show. On Max Kellerman saying Drew Brees is not a top 5 QB. Now, this kind of old. He'd be like, Q, man, you kind of late. And I got to admit, that one kind of got around on me. But a friend of mine sent it to me and said, man, I want you to comment on this. And usually I lambaste Stephen A. Smith when he says ridiculous stuff, but I would actually agree with Stephen A. on this one. And the crazy part about it is you have Ryan Clark, who I think he's from down here. I think he's from New Orleans, but I'm gonna have to pull his card, man, because and throw his ass out of here, because the foolishness that he says, I question his analysis too. Sometimes his analysis be kind of throw it off. But Max Kellerman, I expect what Max Kellerman to say about Drew Brees to stand, because Max is a boxing guy. What the hell he knows about football? He makes some things, he says a few things, but he's a boxing guy. He don't know anything about football. So I expect a boxing guy to say, well, he's not a top 5 QB, and then start throwing the man measurables. But anyway, let me give you a small piece of the show about what he said about Drew Brees. Here's Kellerman's comments on Drew Brees.
I love Drew Brees like everyone loves Drew Brees. And you hate to do this segment the day after he sets the record, right? Absolutely. Because you don't want to be negative when a guy has, it's a moment for congratulations. But if we're talking about ranking, guys, I know he's a great guy. Like, if you got to run somewhere, leave your kids somewhere, you'd be like, hey, Drew, can you watch my kids? He's that kind of guy. But is he a top 5 quarterback, even top 10. Look, here are guys who are clearly better than Drew Brees or greater. Tom Brady, who played in the same era and was better, clearly. Peyton Manning, same thing. Aaron Rodgers, same thing. These are contemporaries of Drew Brees. Nowhere on earth do you find a single person say Drew Brees better than those guys. That's 3 right there. And in the previous era, Joe Montana, 5 championships. He was the best. He competed against Dan Marino, who was considered the most talented passer of all time. John Elway, 2-time Super Bowl champ. And Brett Favre. You say not Brett Favre. Brett Favre, the way you think about Patrick Mahomes now, when you see that, you go, that's just different. Brett Favre is one of those all-time talents who was mistakenly called for a while the greatest quarterback ever. He never was. But he was among the greatest talents and certainly a top 10 quarterback. Those 7 are in. That's over. Now you got 3 more slots.
Don't say Brett Favre is over.
It's over.
It's not over.
Troy Aikman, who, by the way, was a very accurate passer with 3 Super Bowl championships, and like Drew Brees, usually considered the 2nd or 3rd, something like that, best quarterback of his era. Jim Kelly, same sort of thing. Forget about Otto Graham and Johnny Unitas pre-Super Bowl era. I'm just talking about Super Bowl era. Drew Brees may be in the top 10, maybe not. Certainly not top 5. The fact that he got all the passing records has to do with the fact that he's an all-time great quarterback playing in a passing era. He's stayed healthy. He's had an offensive coach, and he's played in a dome. Those factors combine with a great quarterback to give him all the records. Not give him. He didn't get anything. He took all those records. Good for him. But in the previous era, he was number 3 behind Brady and Peyton. And in this era, he's number 3 behind Brady and Rodgers. And so when you're the 3rd best of your era, there are enough eras all time. You may not be top 10. Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. The fact that he's had a long enough career, if push came to shove, I'd say, yeah, Drew Brees is top 10, right around 9 or 10.
I think you missed Warren Moon.
He's in there.
In that discussion, because here's how we rate or rank quarterbacks. 1, Super Bowls, right? How good were your teams? How many rings, how many championships do you have? Drew Brees only has 1. He only went to 1. The other thing is measurables. The other thing is talent, right? The reason we talk about Aaron Rodgers the way we do is not because he's won a ton of Super Bowls or his team has a ton of Super Bowl rings. It's the way it looks. It's the way it comes off of his hand. It's the feeling that he gives us when we watch him play. Drew Brees doesn't do that. Though Drew Brees is deadly accurate, he doesn't have measurables that are off the charts. When you look at Drew Brees, you sometimes feel like, you know what? I know people that look like that. The dude that does my accounting, the dude that does my taxes looks like Drew Brees. When we see Aaron Rodgers, when we see Patrick Mahomes, those dudes look different. And I do believe that Drew Brees deserves to be...
Wait, what? Drew Brees looks like the guy that does your accounting, but Aaron Rodgers looks different?
Yeah, and I'm not talking about... I'm not talking about the way he looks aesthetically. I'm talking about the way he performs on the field. When you see a ball come out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, it's different. When you see a ball comes out of Drew Brees' hands, you're like, oh, that was a good throw. It was on point. There was nothing special about it. And so I think when we look at Drew Brees that way, that's why we don't put him in the conversation of best ever. That's why
you're okay with putting Brett Favre in that conversation?
Absolutely am. Really? Because Brett Favre was that type of talent. Brett Favre was that type of energy bringer. Now, I do think Drew Brees is one of the best players to never win an MVP.
All right, that was Max Kellerman. That's from the show First Take with Stephen A. Smith. You guys comment, man. I know this is it's about a week or so ago when the bye week was hitting. I was kind of busy moving around. This one got past me. A friend of mine sent it to me, and I'm addressing it now. So the funny thing about this is, first of all, Max Kellerman is a boxing analyst. You know, he is not known to be a great basketball person. He's not known to be a good football person. He says stuff that, I would say Skip Bayless has a lot more insight than a guy like Max Kellerman. Don't get me wrong. When we talking boxing, I would put Max Kellerman in the top 10 as far as boxing experts. That's what the man does. That's his thing. When it comes down to football, anybody can formulate an opinion, but that's just asinine and stupid what he's talking about. It's foolish. That Drew Brees is barely in the top 10 as a quarterback. His measurables, he's a good guy. And if you need somebody to watch your kids, go get Drew Brees. I mean, seriously. I mean, that's what kind of professional analysis that ESPN's breaking down on Drew Brees. That's absolutely stupid and foolish and insulting to say to even formulate. And then as you notice, he rambles on with, all this foolishness. And then Clark, who I think is from down here, says even stupider things than he did. That Drew Brees looks like the guy that does my accounting and Aaron Rodgers doesn't. What Aaron Rodgers look like? The guy that does your gardening? I mean, seriously, man, that's stupid and foolish commentary by the supposed experts. That's why I don't really listen to this show, because they need to get better analysts to talk about football. And of course, they have a few football guys that come on there. Maybe that's who you should have got. But then again, Clark is a football guy. He played in the league for many years. He should be smart enough to understand that that's stupid what you're talking about. That's foolish and stupid. That he looks like an accountant and the ball comes off of his hand different than it comes off. What quarterback throws the same? When you see Drew Brees throw and you see Tom Brady throw, you saw Aaron Rodgers throw, do they all throw the same? All of their motions are different. All of their throwing motions are different. The ball spins off of their hands different. What do you got to say about Rivers? What do you have to say about Phillip Rivers in San Diego? His awkward, ugly throwing motion. Does the ball come off his hand the same too? Of course it does. It's like it's the same thing as fingerprints. There's not one fingerprint that's the same. It's not. And that's the signature. The ball comes off his hand different. Let me tell you something about measurables, professional experts, quote, end quote. Drew Brees is throwing. The fact that he plays in the Superdome, in a dome stadium, all his yards wasn't chunked up in the Superdome and in dome environments. Drew Brees had to go to other places to get that yard. He had to play in the rain. He had to play in snowy conditions. He had to play in cold conditions and other conditions that wasn't a dome environment. He just didn't spend the last umpteenth amount of years playing in the dome facility. That's number one. Number two is Drew Brees is a short quarterback. They say 6 feet. I say 6 feet with the cleats on, despite the fact that is even more impressive that a quarterback that is 6 feet was able to beat guys that are 6'3". Aaron Rodgers 6'3", Brett Favre 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", Peyton Manning 6'4". Some of these guys that you see on the list, Dan Marino 6'3", 6'4". Some of these guys were tall quarterbacks throwing over tall offensive linemen. Drew Brees was shorter than all those guys, and his offensive lineman, the smallest lineman he probably played, was 6'3". Most of his guys, Terron Armstead, is what, 6'7", 6'6", 6'5", something like that. So what I'm saying is the fact that Drew Brees, being that he's a 6-foot quarterback, he was still able to eclipse those records despite his size, despite him not getting balls batted down, him moving around is exceptional. Number one. Number two, his injuries. He had a shoulder injury, but he took his health super serious. And the fact that he was able to play an extended period of time to get that record, because remember, he took care of himself. He came in and did everything he had to do to remain healthy, and he was healthy for a long time to get that record. To get those records, period. So that's number two, which is another great accomplishment. And the thing about the accountant, I can't even formulate an idea of what the Clark is talking about. I don't know. The ball just looks different off of his hand. I mean, he looks like an accountant. I mean, and they're gonna pay him for that kind of commentary. Whatever, man. Anyway, I make a comment to the entire Who Dat Nation to revoke Ryan Clark's New Orleans card and the Saints card for that stupid ass comment that he said about Drew Brees. Drew Brees is every bit of a top 5 quarterback. Looking at Dan Marino, you talking about we equate super quarterbacks with Super Bowl rings, with Super Bowl wins. How many goddamn rings did Dan Marino get? He didn't get one ring, but he's still mentioned in the top 5 quarterbacks, and he broke all the records. And he was where he beat this guy and that guy. He beat this guy. Didn't Drew Brees beat Aaron Rodgers? Didn't Drew Brees beat Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl in Miami to take the ring from him? Remember that? Didn't Drew Brees beat Brett Favre on the way to the Super Bowl to knock his ass out of there? So what are these guys talking about? And that's just about all I'm going to get. If you want to comment on this story, y'all bias, put y'all comments on the section. But that's all. I'm done with it. That's totally stupid. These guys are rambling. And that's why you shouldn't listen to foolish shows like that. That's why you should listen to the Sports Coma. But anyway, let's get into it. Wanted to throw that one in there. I forgot about that to make mention of that, fellas. But anyway, let's finish up our topics talking about the Sports Coma question today. I'm going to hit you with it again. So is the Saints going to break that losing streak against the Baltimore Ravens? Pretty much. I say yes, 2024. You tell me what you think in the comment section. Also tell me what you think about the foolishness you heard from ESPN Max Kellerman and that idiot Ryan Clark. Anyway, let's go right into the replies from the previous show. Now, of course, the last show we had put the question of the day out there. Should the Saints trade for cornerback Patrick Peterson from the Arizona Cardinals? And if so, what should they give up to give him? We got a lot of love on this question because guys must have been like, yeah, man, that's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about it. But anyway, this is what some of the guys said. My boy, Tim Russ, what's happening, Tim? And he said, yes, learning that Sean is in a win now mode. I would trade a 4th rounder in Ken Crawley if I trade a second rounder, I'll trade PJ instead of Crawley. Truthfully, both of them can't even cover their eyes. That's a good one. I say bed. Couldn't cover their bed, but cover their eyes that's a better one. And still play blind. We have more leverage and persuasion when it include picks. Cardinals going to need them. So there you go. Thank you, Tim. Very insightful on that one. Michael Freeman chimed in. He said, hell yes, trade for Pat P. all next year's picks. He said, give it all up. Mike Dickhead. He's an all-pro. What's the odds of getting an all-pro for a second-round pick? Pat P, Teddy B, and Marcus Davenport. That's all the draft we need. True. Look what they did this previous draft. You know, you're right, Michael. Look what they did. They drafted all those guys. We had the 2 cornerbacks that they drafted, and we had Rick Leonard in the 4th. They released all those guys. So if that's the case, if you're not really using those picks wisely and you're picking that wrong, then what the hell you need with them for? Just trade the picks for established talent if that we're in win now mode. And I agree with you on that. So thanks, Michael. He had another comment. He said, not to mention how many of the last draft picks on this team. See, I just said that. I agree with you. We're on the same wavelength here. I agree wholeheartedly with you. Thank you, Mike, for your comments. Keep commenting, by the way. DJ Austin, what's going on? DJ, big respect to DJ Austin. I say yes because the way Arizona Cardinals is playing right now, I don't think the team don't want him. And plus, we can have the real defense we've been wanting. Thank you, DJ, for chiming in. I agree with that. They need that last piece on the cornerback position. Opposite of Lattimore, that would solve your weakest position. Then it will allow you to have the quality depth. You can bring in other guys to fill the back end. You'll still have either if they give him Crawley or they give him PJ Williams. I still say you can give him PJ Williams. PJ Williams, we're not signing that guy back. You and I both know that he's gone. He's in the last year of his deal. PJ Williams hasn't showed me enough to earn a contract. So I agree with you on that, buddy. Thank you for commenting that, DJ. Alan Sider, new commenter. He says 2 this year, 2 and 4 next year. Sean don't really value draft picks, and that shows big time how they handled it this year. Thank you, Alan, for chiming in, brother. Dada Saints #1 said, yes, I would offer 2nd this year and the 3rd next year. That is a good move to do, 2nd and 3rd. They going to want a 4th, but a 2nd and a 3rd round pick, 2nd this year, 3rd next year, a pick to get Peterson and perhaps another player to throw in there, PJ or a Crawley, something like that. Would it be enough to get them? Because Arizona, they're going to try for a 1st. You know, they're going to dangle them out there. But I would say a 2nd and a 3rd makes sense. Thank you, Dada, Saints fan #1, for chiming in. Crass 4 says, no risk, no biscuit. Bruce Arians, I'd be elated if we could land Patrick. He checks all the boxes. He is a punt returner, elite player, and a position of need. Nothing against Crawley, but he's a liability at #2. Who cares if we don't pick until day 3 next year? All now with Breeze. I want another ring for Drew and the city of New Orleans as badly as anyone else on the planet. Remember Marcus Peters. I think he's a very good corner. Went for a 4th rounder in 18 and 2019 2nd rounder. Side item. This is a great show. Really love this insight on New Orleans football. I look forward to the next one. Thank you, Crass, man. Thank you for the love, brother. Appreciate you and all you great guys out there. I love, comment, and listen to you guys. Y'all guys are football. Y'all guys need to be on ESPN. You guys need to be on ESPN. Kick Ryan Clark's ass off and Max Kellerman off. You guys need to get up there and present this great insight and start lambasting these clowns when they talk about Drew Brees. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. Drew deserves credit or comment toward him negative if he does negative stuff. But Drew Brees has been the model citizen as a Saint player. And I'm saying on and off the field, he's been the perfect leader that you will want lead your team. It's not his, when we talk about statistics, facts, and Super Bowls, Drew Brees beat Peyton Manning, who wasn't hurt. He took that Super Bowl from Peyton Manning in Miami when they were favoring them to beat the Saints. That was a year a lot of people didn't even think the Saints would ever make a Super Bowl, but they did. We did. And the only thing that was holding the Saints back was the defense, the fact that Cam was by himself on that line. If you look at it, Sheldon Rankins is coming to form. You see the defensive line interior playing a lot better. Onyemata, and big respect to Tyler Davison. Those guys are really turning it up. And then the resurgence of Marcus Davenport coming on, just like when we said he was. Right around that 7th game, you'll start to see the light turn on and you'll start to do great things. So the defense, that second complementary piece that the Saints been searching for the years, they finally found it. Look at how they handled this. For front 7 have already gelled in place. DeMario Davis and all those guys. The back end is all we got. And if you get Peterson, hey, man, look out. You're talking about another Super Bowl, perhaps 2. Thank you, Crass, man, for your commentary and the love, bro. Appreciate you. Thank you as well, man, for chiming in on the Sports Coma. Chaim Schreiber chimes in. He said, Patrick Peterson is towards the end of his prime. He's only downhill to go from here. Yes, it would still be nice to have him, but it might not be worth trading everything away at the moment, especially when the secondary is gaining momentum. Got time before the trade deadline, give some time. So, Chaim Schreiber using more of a patient approach. He's coming in with the wisdom here. They're saying, yeah, you know what? You're starting to see the slow insurgence, the slow revving up of the secondary. That's a point. That is a point. They are starting to play better and come together on the back end, you know, but still in all, if you can land, even if we say he's in his prime, you know, I wouldn't say that he's past his prime, but I say Patrick Peterson is what he is. He's not going to then turn it up and be better than what he is. Although if you put him in a secondary where they got a lot of pieces with him and you got Marshawn Lattimore on one side, him on the other, I can see him still staying in his prime for at least another 2 or 3 years. That's all you're looking for, basically, you know, Chaim. Is this just that? So I hear what you're saying, and they are coming together, but I think Peterson, regardless, they're not going to come together and be better without Patrick Peterson and Lattimore together. So I say if you still looking to improve the secondary, and we know the secondary, the weakest spot on the team, pull the level on the trade, give up a third or a second or a pick that won't impact what you're dealing with, you still improve the team for not just this year, but the next couple of years. So I get what you're saying, more of a patient approach, but this team, the secondary is not going to get better without a guy like him, unless Ken Crawley automatically all of a sudden becomes the second coming of Eric Allen or Rod Woodson or somebody. I don't see it, but I appreciate the comment, Champ. Thank you, man. Then, of course, Marvin Norman chimes in. What's good, Marvin? He says, PP would be a nice dream come true, but not only we have to trade picks, but give up maybe Ted Ginn, Okafor, or Davison. In addition, to fit his salary into our salary cap, we would have to trade a player or two or reconstruct contracts. As much as I love the idea, it ain't worth losing what we will lose to get and keep PP. If we can get him for anything less, hell yeah, let's get him. Marvin Norman and Chaim Schreiber, both on the same level with his thing. They're saying, listen, man, we got to anticipate the bump in salary. Right now, he's making, I think, 8 or 9 million or something like that. Guys, y'all correct me. Next year jumps to 12 or something like that. And I think he got 3 years maybe left on his deal. That's a lot of money to play. But Patrick Peterson, you got to put him in the top 5 cornerbacks in the NFL. You're going to pay a guy like that. Then you got him playing next to Lattimore. That takes the pressure off Lattimore because he automatically becomes your number one, you know? So the truth be told, if I need to make money or make moves, construct contracts, you know who the first person I look at? Kurt Coleman. Kurt Coleman was supposed to come in and take Von Bell's job. I said Von Bell. Von Bell is holding that job down, man, and he's keeping Kurt Coleman on the bench. I'm not comfortable paying Kurt Coleman all that money as a backup. So if anybody I would reconstruct it, it will be Kurt Coleman to get a guy like Patrick Peterson. I hear what you're saying, Marvin. You know I respect your comments, all y'all guys' comments, you know, and I love what you're saying. But I still say that this secondary and this defense is better with Patrick Peterson. And if I have to move a few pieces that's not named Cam Jordan, Davenport, Demario Davis, or any of our core members of the team to get him in here, it's a major upgrade over everything you got. He becomes your instant best cornerback and moves Lattimore to the other side of the field. So, I mean, I just think that it's just a tremendous deal. If we got to give up Okafor, we give him up. You know, we give him up. To me, it's just not enough, man. It's just not enough. We'll move heaven and earth to get him here. You don't have to move heaven and earth to get him here, by the way. You know, reconstruction, Kurt Coleman's contract, he at the top of the list in my book. But anyway, that'll do it for the comments, the replies, question. Man, thank all y'all guys. As once again, you are terrific Saints Who-Dats. And y'all guys have splendid commentary all the time. Now, listen to what I just read. Y'all guys just heard what I just read, right? All those great comments from all those great commenters out there. And then they got other commenters that listen to the show that's just as intelligent as the commenters. They just don't comment. They just listen. But listen to what those guys, the few that did comment on the question of the day, and then listen to what ESPN is producing with Ryan Clark. I just played. I'm telling you, you guys know more than those guys. So anyway, I'm not going to beat the dead horse. But anyway, thank you guys for listening to the show today. As always, if you enjoyed the Sports Coma, please feel free to go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/the PRO Media Network. You can become a contributor. Now, what I mean by contributing is you can contribute a few dollars, whatever you got, to help build the show's platform. We're getting ready to turn on the Sports Coma Live, which is a live show where you guys will be able to call in and comment with the live chat and all that. You can help that process faster by, donating or contributing at the Patreon page at www.patreon.com/the PRO Media Network. There are also little parameters there to be a pro that you get other people don't get. You can get the show early and everything. Go there and check it out. Also, you can join our social media family as Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all those great social media net websites. The links are in the description section below. And as always, from me and the crew here at Sports Coma, thank you for listening. Peace.
Forget ESPN or Fox. Get straight sports talk from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Thank you for listening to the Pro Media Network, who provides hours and hours of free entertainment to you and yours. If you are benefiting positively from our content, please donate to help us grow our platform by going to www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. That's www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network, and support the true independent artists.
Tea is your escape. It's your opportunity to create a moment for stillness, for reflection, for yourself. It's your connection to a world of senses, flavors both exotic and familiar, energizing and relaxing. It's your retreat from an increasingly turbulent world. It's the perfect paradox of simplicity and complexity. Teabox.com connects tea to people, uniting the richest flavors of the finest teas with the curious, the cultivated, and the adventurous all over the world. The freshest tea you've ever tasted, from crop to cup. There's simply no simpler way to experience the wonderful complexity of tea. Teabox, packing up the freshness. Tea thrives on freshness, and so do they. Teabox temperature and humidity control facility ensure that tea is maintained. The teas themselves go into oblique bags with aluminum layers that protect them from excess moisture and light. With Teabox, shopping for fresh, loose leaf tea is easy because you make an informed purchase. You know exactly where your tea is coming from. So for the freshest teas in the world, check out Teabox.com. That's right, Teabox.com. Check the link in the description section below. Go to newfrog.com for all of your electronic gadget needs. Fast becoming #1 online seller of cell phone and accessories, consumer electronics, automobiles and motorcycles, home and garden items, 5D diamond painting crafts, electrical and tool supplies, computer and networking supplies, lights and lighting supplies, sports and travel items, toys and hobby supplies, apparel and accessory, mother and kid items, health and beauty items, and much, much more. Newfrog.com has up to 70% off on some products. And you can check out their weekly promotions for all the best deals. Remember, when thinking online electronics and gadgets, think New Frog. Newfrog.com. Check the link in the description section below.
Vapor DNA is the absolute premier online vape store, offering an industry-leading selection of e-cigarettes, e-liquids, and accessories. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service team is always ready to provide the best customer service experience to ensure you find what you're looking for. We guarantee our vaping gear shop products to be 100% genuine and the lowest price. We are so confident in our selection and our customer service. We will offer our customers a 45-day refund policy. That's right, a 45-day refund policy. We are proud of this offer for 3 simple reasons: quality, selection, and price. And that is the reason you should choose Vapor DNA for all your vaping needs. That's www.vapordna.com. Again, that's www.vapordna.com.
In today's world, children are bombarded with negativity on television, online, and at school. Our kids need to have a positive outlook on life and the world around them. I want to share with you a valuable resource you can use to bring positivity into your child's life. It's the new book, A Guide to Positive Child Self-Image from author and dad G.J. Barabino. This is a simple guide loaded with wonderful and inspirational affirmations designed to uplift young people's spirits. This positive and powerful children affirmational is chock full and loaded with wonderful inspirational sayings that will lift your child's self-image to whole new levels through the awesome power of spoken word. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, A Guide to Positive Child Self-Image from author and dad G.J. Barabino. Available on Amazon. Order a copy for yourself, your child's teachers, or anyone you know with children. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, A Guide to Positive Child Self-Image. Order your copy today.
What's up, Sports World? The PRO Media Network is on a mission to reach 10,000 subscribers. So besides our regular programs like the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, the Pelican Post Game Report, Rapid Fire TSC, and others, we will be expanding out and offering other content like movie, anime, and gaming reviews for your entertainment. So if you enjoy our content, please donate at our Patreon page. Also subscribe, comment, and share. And help the PRO Media Network reach 10,000 subs. Peace.